I got two questions for you. Number one, what is the procedure after this shooting? How long does the officer have, of course the public don't know this, to get that report in on the incident? Because see, what other people don't realize is you got a time frame to get that report in. And the commission and everybody else is under investigation. Well, what did you say happened?
Okay. Well, the reason why Graham and I laughed was because when we came on the police department, there was this such thing as a 48-hour rule.
Mm-hmm.
That 48-hour rule was thrown out. The police lost that right in the contract negotiations, which I believe they never should have had that. Because what that says is that you can take action when they did have the 48-hour rule. You can take action. You didn't have to speak to nobody, your superiors, nobody, for 48 hours.
Till you find out what they got against you and how to come back at them.
Exactly. Or for you to get with others.
Okay, so now the rule is out.
Now the rule is out.
Okay, so now what they never talk about on TV, or you never hear on the news is, he had to write something as the week gone by.
Well, let me answer that. Now they throw in, the DA's office said, please don't question the officer. Let us get our facts and everything correct and straight out. Then we will question the officer. But in essence, that's another 48-hour rule when you really look at it.
No, that could be longer than that. It's really, it's really simple. The name of the game is there's an investigation cannot be done with the key part of the investigation until you tell, which is what happened.
Right.
He has to say what happened.
He should be interviewed immediately. If an officer is not shot or hurt, in the incident, he or she should be interviewed immediately. Sit down and let's get these facts.
So now 1 week later, people that's been, y'all representing who people who have been inside, is there a report written?
There has to have been a 49, which is a special report that is done by the duty captain. The officer has to give some information because when a shooting occurs, it has to be determined whether or not the squad is going to handle it, or internal affairs is going to handle it, or in this case, they're saying the DA is going to handle it. You can't do an investigation unless you speak to the person
Exactly.
fired. So, if any time I drew my weapon, I didn't need 48 hours to figure out why I was going to shoot this person. And if I shot them, I didn't need 48 hours to put a story together to tell you why I shot this. I know exactly why I'm shooting the person. And no one needs 48 hours. As a matter of fact, if you're arrested for homicide, they're not giving you 48 hours
To think of a story.
to put together a story. Okay? So the professionals never needed 48 hours. They needed the 48 hours to whitewash anything that might not be proper in the process. And I've been in some of these shootings over the years, and I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen NYPD try to destroy evidence. When Desmond Robinson was shot, so
you was one of the.
I was working for the transit police then. I was a major case, and that was my case.
Mm-hmm.
I immediately notified my attorney and Desmond's attorney to the fact of what was going on.
With Officer Del Devio.
Yes,
Okay.
and I told him, I said, I will do a deposition tonight. When I get off duty, I'll do a deposition tonight. God forbid I trip on the curb and fall down and hit my head and I get cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I want you to have this information, and I want you to have it in legal frame. So if the DA is conducting this investigation, if DA Morgenthau's office is handling the investigation, they should have had interviews already. Certainly should have had interviews already. I was at a scene of a shooting many years ago. It occurred on my block when I was living in Queens. And I went across to a neighbor's house. There had been a shooting. The guy was dead. And I see an officer there that I know. And he's freaking out. So I grab him, put him in a sector car. We took him to the hospital. Now, I knew this guy for a number of years. Nice guy. He wound up killing a man because the man was trying to cut a woman's throat. The trauma that he went through was unbelievable. But I told him, I said, I don't even want to know the story. I told Internal Affairs I'll bring him back for an interview later. And we went to the hospital and he was taken care of and came back. But he was exonerated in the shooting. It was a clean shooting. But the emotional stress that he was under was very great. I have another friend, a white guy. Algier Fortune, transit cop. A guy took his weapon from him, ripped it out of the holster. And they were in mortal hand-to-hand combat for this gun. The gun discharged, as they were right on top of each other, and slowly the guy fell and died. And Algier Fortune said to me that day, after the shooting, he said, "Spoon, I never took this job to take another man's life." See, and that's quite unlike the people we have working in NYPD today.
Are you saying that they are deliberately out here to take lives?
The respect for human life has greatly diminished over the years, and it's not just because of the people, it's because of the society and the culture we're in. We had 8 years of Bush. Bush was only about death and destruction globally. And when you say the fish stinketh from the head, it's very true, because what the president has conveyed to the people, what the commissioner has conveyed to the police officers, there is that trickle. And it's not even a trickle down, it's a flood where people have no respect for human life, as though it's a movie, it's a video game. And it's not only the police, our own people are killing each other.
But see that this is where I want to go, and I want to start this here right after the break. We're going to come and we're going to talk about our people, and that's where I have a problem with this here whole shooting and everything else. But we'll be right back after a brief message from our sponsors, and we'll get back on this here subject again.